Okay, Coach Cronin is with us. Coach, first question. How much since last night have you had an opportunity to take a look at your opponent tomorrow?
A little bit. Sleep's overrated this time of year. Sleep's overrated this time of year, and this is what you work so hard for. So to get to this point, college coaches, we were all the kind of guys that probably had to cram anyway back in our college days. We probably weren't the best, most prepared students. So cramming is something I think we probably practice. So obviously we've been watching a lot of for myself, watching a lot of UCLA in the last, 24 hours, not even that. But, of course, I have my staff. They've been working on it all week. So they're obviously an impressive team. Tremendous talent. Extremely well coached. I think, what happens sometimes when a team has the talent that they have, the coaching aspect isn't maybe talked about quite as much, but the things that they do are very hard to deal with. So, Steve makes he makes it really, really hard on you in the half court. He knows what each guy's capable of. So if you take away one thing, you're giving them something else that they're good at. And I think defensively, they're better than people think. They just have to play a lot of defense because they score so much. So they play more defense than the average team. So, and again, the more they play defensive, it means the more they're scoring, and there's some more possessions in the game, which gives them a better chance to win because of their skill level and their talent level. So I think he's playing exactly the way I would play if I was the coach of that team. And he's Steve's just done an unbelievable job coaching them. They have a tremendous team.
Ben?
Ben Bulch, Los Angeles Times. Looking at some statistics, I think your defensive possessions averaged 18 seconds. Their offensive possessions average 14 seconds. How do you go about imposing your style on a team that likes to play fast in a game like this?
You just really confused me with the 18 seconds and 14. You need more sleep. Did you really figure all that out? Where'd you get all that? Oh, Ken Palm. Oh, okay. I do subscribe to Ken Palm as well. I'd simplify that. They're a lot faster than us. But I think Kentucky found out they're faster than everybody. So obviously they can convert to offense faster than other people. So what I would tell you is our offense is going to be imperative in this game, that we're successful offensively in getting second shots, in scoring the basketball or getting fouled. Because if you do not, they give them more opportunities to run downhill on you as quick as they can. Their conversion is excellent. It's because they have probably the best passer since Jason Kidd or Magic Johnson playing with the ball in his hands. They throw 40-foot outlet passes. So I think it starts with your offense. I thought this isn't new for us. We talk about it all the time. I think the reason we are as good as we've been all year on defense, and historically but when you score and you get fouled, you're forcing teams to play 5-on-5 against you. And I think it's the key to all defense in basketball. If you're constantly playing transition defense, you're not going to be very good. And if you're playing transition defense against this UCLA team, you're going to lose. You're not going to win. So that's why offense is so important. You sit there and say, well, our defense is just as bad as everybody else's if we're on the run. I mean, we're on the run defensively, and our scouting reports out the window, they're gonna kill us. It's just I thought Kent State did a great job. And they probably offensive rebounded a little too much, and they exposed themselves on the back end. But that's kind of what Kent State does. I mean, they're a great, top 10 offensive rebounding team. They probably just didn't want to get away from it. So hopefully we can execute and score to where we don't have to sell out and send everybody to the glass. Because if you do, they're just going to – eventually they're going to get going on you. I don't know how many seconds it'll take, though.
I don't know who it was. I want to give the proper credit, but somebody called you Kent State on steroids. Is that a fair label to put on you guys?
Well, I think Rob Senderhoff's a little bit bigger than me, so I don't think that's fair. He's a good friend of mine. And to be honest with you, I don't know much about Kent State. I got to be real honest with you. And that's about. I watched so many UCLA films. I watched one of those, and then since then I've watched 3 Arizonas, 2 USCs, 2 Oregons, and a Washington State. So I don't even remember right now much about Kent State's team.
Tony?
Coach, T.J. Lee filed.
He should have came to Cincinnati.
Okay, his quickness kind of deceiving. He gets to the basket, just all-around skillful freshman. What is your thoughts, since you didn't get him anyway, in the recruiting process?
Well, I remember one time I was with Coach Huggins. We were at the NBA draft combine with DeMar Johnson and Kenyon Martin. And there was a few drinks, I got to be honest, that night. But Kevin McHale was talking basketball, and he was talking about – people were asking what they thought made him so effective. And he said he thought it was his ability to make a shot. Because when you have that type of skill and that type of height, and you can shoot the ball and people have to come at you. And when people have to come at you, it brings everything else into play. So he's so skilled, and he can make a shot that you have to come up and guard him, which now brings his up and under or his step through or his ability to go by you, what have you. So he can score in different ways, but it all starts with the fact you have to guard him. And he gets people coming at him. Now also the rest of them are so good that sometimes you help off of him. Now you have to go at him in recovery. When you have to go at a guy that's as good as that, they usually are going to pick you apart. If you don't go at them, they're going to shoot it in. If you do, they got enough talent to put a hurt on you, one way or the other, score or get fouled. So somehow, against all their guys, you want to stay out of that rotation where you're coming towards them to guard them. You need to be there to have a chance and be set. He can still break it down. He's good enough he can still score on you. But again, it's about getting our defense set and set on Leaf, because he's got just so many ways he can hurt you. And then his offense, throw in his offensive rebounding, which he's excellent at. Doc, got to get my briefcase. I got something for you.
Coach Matt Cummings, Daily Bruin.
I can hear you, Matt.
You hear? All right. Bryce Alford hasn't shot the ball all that well lately, but obviously he's dangerous when he does get it going. How much does that play into the way that you guys will approach the game?
First of all, I'm nervous about that because I'm a big believer in the law of averages. So, if a guy's a great shooter and he's been struggling, it's going to go the other way. Just saying, nobody makes every shot. So we'll play him just like everybody else plays him. Obviously, if you let him get his feet set, he can carve you up and change the game, because the three is such a game changer. A guy like that hits 5, 6, or 7 on you. It's going to be hard to win the game if you give him that kind of night. So you just got to do everything you can. Again, if you're playing defense on the run, it's hard to find him. And if you're sprinting back to the paint to stop a team in transition, it's going to be hard to find him at the three-point line. So against great shooters, you just got to try to do everything you can to make their life hard, because if you make it easy on them, and then the bucket tends to get bigger for those type of guys. And now they start making really hard ones. So I'm just a big believer in that you got to do everything you can not to let them get started, so that maybe it puts a little press in their mind instead of let them get going, and now all of a sudden the basket gets bigger and it goes the other way. So, but you just got to do your best because he's capable. Everybody that covers them has seen what I've been watching on film, you've been watching for 4 years. The kid's just had an unbelievable career. My respect level for him and what you have to go through for playing for your father at the highest level is something I can only imagine. So I root for him, and I've always rooted for him because I know what he's dealt with, but not tomorrow.
After watching the tape that you've seen so far in UCLA, are they easily the best offensive team you have seen all year?
I would say they're the most explosive. I know SMU had a rough day yesterday, and they blew a late lead, which, it happened to Villanova. That's why this tournament is called March Madness. But SMU's efficiency is very similar, highly efficient team. Obviously, LSU does it or UCLA does it in a much different way. They're much faster, much more explosive. Probably more obviously more NBA players. I mean, they got a guy that's going to be an NBA All-Star on their team. So talent, they're the most talented team without question, and definitely the most explosive. And I would think anybody that plays them would say the same thing.
Paul?
Mick, the three has become so much more prevalent. I don't know if you saw the Oklahoma State-Michigan game.
I heard that Michigan made a bunch of them. Right?
Completely influenced by the three. But how have you had to change, adapt, whatever your coaching styles, philosophies, to the notion that if you really can't defend the three and shoot the three these days, you're going to have a difficult time winning a lot of games?
Well, and I would add to that the shorter shot clock. I think it is another way the game is going. I think here's where the threes, with the shorter clock, you don't have as much time. So if you have one shooter, you got more time to get him open. Now you see teams with the soft press to burn a little clock, and then you can find that one guy that can shoot in your scouting report, because college basketball is so much different than the pros, and coaches can control so much with the press, with the zones, the changing defenses, that if you don't have multiple shooters, you're easily defended with the shorter shot clock. That's where I think what's going out of the game is some of it. You've seen some guys maybe play at Cincinnati in the last 25 years. A real athletic guy that plays really hard, but he can't shoot at all. I think that guy's getting phased out because there's nowhere to hide him on the offensive end, and there's not enough time in the shot clock to get the other guy open. They have enough time if you soft press and you find one guy, and you can make somebody's life really, really hard. I think so. The shorter clock, I think, exacerbates the fact that you need shooting, and obviously defending it puts a premium on. I think where you see the game going smaller, because you got to, like for us, Gary Clark, we've worked really hard with him to be able to guard perimeter players, because so many people play four guards nowadays, that he's got to be able to go out there and defend at the three-point line and on the perimeter. And it's obviously, he understands too, it's good for his pro aspirations to be able to do that. Wherever his pro career may be, he's going to have to be able to defend the three-point line. So for players, it's imperative, no matter how tall they are, to be able to go guard the three-point line.
Any other questions?
Thank you, guys.
Mick, thank you.